Hey guys, this is going to be a short video about the Brezza Crystal system. This is a rare arcade motherboard that I got from Europe probably a couple years ago now. There were a couple of games released for it, at least that I could easily find. The Crystal of Kings, which you see on the system here, and Evolution Soccer. I think there were a couple of other games, or so I've read, that also came out maybe overseas that didn't even have the blue kind of cartridge shell there, but these were the most common games, these two that were released for it. So I'm going to talk a bit about the system. You have a JAMA edge here, so like most arcade boards, most of them are JAMA. You have your edge here that you connect to your harness. Underneath there you can kind of see your PCB. It's not terribly big. You have this gray shell that the games actually slide right into, much like a Neo Geo MVS, at least some of the models of that, or like a Sammy Thomas Wave, in that at least you put the game cartridges into the motherboard and you can kind of remove them to play different games. On the side of the system, you have, and I put this label on here myself just so I would not forget, you have a button for the credit, for accessing your test menu and dip switches and game settings and all that stuff, and a reset button. And that's basically it. It's a plastic shell. I kind of wish the whole thing was covered maybe in the front somehow, but it's neat that you could kind of take these cartridges and put them in and out. And these two games, Evolution Soccer is exactly what it sounds like. The Crystal of Kings is a medieval beat-em-up. I'm going to show you some of it here. Gameplay footage in just a minute connected to my Super Gun using component video. And then there's the bottom of your board also. This piece of felt is on here. I'm not exactly sure why that's there. It came that way. This system does appear to save your high scores and game settings unless you change out cartridges. I had the Crystal of Kings first and played it several times, and it would save my high score even after I would turn it off. But then when I put in a new game, Evolution Soccer, and went back to this one, it seems like it had deleted all of my high scores here for the new game. So it's kind of the motherboard will save, I believe, high scores for one game until you change out different games. But here's some footage of the two games. So on this screen, after you press the button, you can access the dip switches of the game, and you can control things like the difficulty. You can put the game in English. You can order the game from overseas in Europe in English or in Japanese. What I think is really fun about the game, and you can see what I have it set to here already, I like to set it to level 1, ultra easy difficulty, and make it so you cannot continue. You can turn things like blood on and see if you can beat the game just on one credit, and I've been able to do that with like maybe one or no lives left. You can do 3 different difficulties: copper, silver, and gold, which are basically normal, hard, and very hard. And again, I like this down here. You have the effect: soft, which is no blood; normal, which is little blood; and it says caution, included cruel expression. So I guess that means your players look angry when they're killing the bad guys. So you can't turn off the blood. I guess if you're playing with somebody younger, then you can do that. So you can do other things that you typically do with arcade hardware here, affect the number of credits you have per coin and things like that, put it on free play and all of that. So again, here's a little bit of gameplay footage. So here's just a little more footage of the opening demo. You have some very dramatic music, shows your characters. And the king commands you to get the crystal, to help save the land. Alright, so I'm going to enter a coin. So this game has very much I guess I changed the setting there to gold. I meant to keep it on copper. So we'll play it on, I think, the normal or the hard difficulty here. But this game has very much a Lord of the Rings vibe to it. You'll notice if you play the game, I'm not going to play it long enough to really see, but you have a lot of characters that are inspired by Lord of the Rings, like Coco, who's like Bilbo or Frodo here. You have a boss enemy at one point that looks like the Balrog. You have your orcs here. Now, one little secret, you have your halfling, you have your fighter, your wizard, and your elf. If you hold up on the fighter, he changes to kind of a more Conan or He-Man looking character. I'm going to pick we'll go with Coco here, who's kind of your halfling or your hobbit type character. And you have a little story in between stages that explains what you're doing. And you have a variety of moves in this game. You have an attack, a jump, and a magic button. And then you also have a couple of inputs you can do on the controller. This game also has a really interesting feature too. You see there I killed the soldiers, which I probably shouldn't have done. But if you kill the soldiers, something happens called Crystal Down, and if you do good things like not collecting gold, which demonstrates you're not greedy or don't hurt innocent people, then you'll do things that'll kind of affect your crystal up. And at the end of the game, you'll get either a good ending or a bad ending based on kind of how you did in the game. Now, obviously, you have to kill all the bad guys and the bosses. See, I got gold there. It said Crystal Down, but you'll get a crystal up for killing the bad guys. But based on kind of how you've conducted yourself throughout the course of the game, you'll get a good ending or a bad ending, which is really interesting. Like the good ending, you'll go back and be celebrated by the king and queen. The bad ending, you turn evil and like end up burning down the entire city. Kind of reminds me of like Game of Thrones. But you can attack with your first button, jump with your second. Your magic button would be whatever your third button is. Press C on the Neo Geo controller I'm using here. You can press toward B for an attack. And I believe you have, a lot of these guys, I may not be able to do it here, but I believe you have like a Street Fighter 2 motion for at least some of the characters where you can do kind of a rising uppercut or things like that. So you do I have to play with some to remember, but you do have some controls like that. But you have some great looking monsters and creatures in this game, and you can rescue these fairies that'll aid you in different ways. They'll come around and kind of attack for you or refill your energy like this one is attacking there for me. But this is just a great game. It's 2-player. I don't think there was any way to play it with 4. I don't think there was an option for 4-player. I think it's just a 2-player kind of adventure beat 'em up. But if you're possibly able to get your hands on this game, even if it's just, I don't know, through emulation or however else you play these games, then it's a really good one. It's an underrated game. It takes maybe about 35 minutes to beat. It's not one that's overly long, nor is it one that's terribly short. It's kind of just the right length you want for your beat 'em ups. These creatures here kind of remind me of a golem sleeking around there. But again, you have your kind of pre-rendered graphics like on Donkey Kong Country for the Super Nintendo. Now, I think this might have been made, I don't know the exact year without looking it up, but I think this was made, kind of after beat 'em ups had gotten less popular. But I'll show this first boss here. He's like, this will remind you of Lord of the Rings if you've read Lord of the Rings or seen it. The Oliphants, ridden by the orcs that you get to fight here, so I'm using some of my magic. And yeah, you can do your kind of ramming attack toward. There is a way to do like a Street Fighter attack with one of the Street Fighter motions. I'm not remembering it at the moment as I'm getting trampled by this elephant. But I'll show the next game here, Evolution Soccer, which is the only other game that I own, and I believe possibly the only other game that was released for the Brezza Soft Crystal System. Let's just finish this guy off. We're going to finish me off. Did I get him? I got him. Alright. Won the first fight. So that's the Crystal of Kings for the Brezza Soft Crystal System. Alright, so this is Evolution Soccer for the Brezza Soft Crystal System. The only other game that I own for the system. This is the opening demo for the game. This is running on a Brezza Soft Crystal System. This is also connected to my component super gun made by Neotropolis. And so you have some real dramatic music playing here. I don't know if those were real soccer players somewhere in the world. I have no idea. But it's getting me fired up to play some soccer. Alright, so I'm going to press the credit button. Alright, enter the credit. This was made, there's your year this was made, 2001. And this very much looks to me like a Neo Geo game. And I think you can set the language to maybe Spanish, English, and Japanese if you access the dip switch menus. But it does use your 4 buttons. I have not played this a terrible amount, but it does remind me of some of the Neo Geo soccer games. A lot of the Neo Geo games soccer games that came out. Kind of had a similar look to this, at least as far as I can remember. I think they were called maybe Super Sidekicks, and there were maybe a couple of other games. There were a lot of soccer games for the Neo Geo. But you have special commands like you see here in the instructions for how to play the game. It's probably really fun if you get into it and learn the controls. I will show off a gameplay footage here. I'll probably do terribly because I haven't spent a lot of time on it. You have a ton of different countries you can choose among, which is great. We'll go with good old USA here. You can choose what type of defense you choose to employ. So we'll go with your 4-4-2 here, whatever your standard is. And then you can pick a different, I guess these are maybe your team captains that you have here, which is really neat. You get these, and these guys have their own unique kind of fighting motion type. Let's go with this guy, the helicopter kid with the helicopter kick. They have their own unique moves, which is really cool. They, of course, put you into different groups, and you have to win your group to advance. So we're playing Cameroon here. And I'll play just a minute of the gameplay so you can kind of see how it works here. Again, if you've seen other arcade soccer games from this era, you've probably seen something like this before. This one may be better or worse. I really don't know. It's generally pretty good. Now, it looks like it was telling me just to use the first two buttons there. So that's me with the ball. I think I passed it. Okay. Trying to get the steal. Throw. You can, if you press the second button, you can try to throw a shoulder. All right. I passed it. I passed it back to my keeper. All right, let's get it out of there, man. Okay. Now we're coming down. There's the pass. All right. Dumping it off to that guy. Is there a juke button? Oh, he's... Shoot it, dude. Oh, shoot. Shoot. Oh. Oh, okay. That was... Almost had it. We'll play for just another minute here. I like how at the top you can kind of see the pie chart. Shoot it. Shoot. Okay, they get a free kick. I guess I fouled him. Slid into him. But you have the pie chart to kind of indicate the passage of time, which I think is really neat. I like this. Games like this, it would take me a little while to play it, and I think I just tried to shoot them on goal, and I basically gave them an own goal. It was basically that. So here's my gameplay. Here's my gameplay at Evolution Soccer. But I like playing the Mario Strikers for the GameCube and the Capcom Sports Club Mini Soccer. These games that were, kind of more akin to proper soccer with the correct number of men and the basic rules in place. I never got into quite as much, but I did get this one with the intention of learning how to play it. I just haven't done so yet. So let's try one more time, see if I can score. Instead of passing it, shoot. Tried to chip the keeper, but it's a goal kick. So anyway, guys, that's basically it. That's Evolution Soccer and the Crystal of Kings for the Brezza Soft Crystal System. Thank you for taking the time to watch. I hope you have a great day, and God bless.